Yo, what's up? It's the legendary DJ Hurricane. You're now tuned into the B-Shine. My early days when I was just a young teenager, my older sister, had DJ equipment in the house. Her and her boyfriend, they used to mix a lot of disco records, what have you. James Brown, Isaac Hayes, Funkadelic, and they had this big mixer. So that was my first experience actually seeing a mixer and watching somebody actually mix a record. And shortly after that, my other sister had a boyfriend who was the leader of a gang in Queens, and he had a cousin named Shamel that was from the Bronx, and he had came around and he had some cassette tapes of like old hip hop guys like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Treacherous 3, Busy Bee Starski. He used to always bring those cassettes around, so I actually listened to them and I actually learned all the words. But then I started noticing like those beats that they were playing, like where did they get those from? So I actually started writing raps to their raps just to learn how to rap. And shortly after that, it was a guy named Davey DMX, who actually lived in Hollis also. He lived on 215th Street, I live on 205th. And we were in the park, me and my friend Cool T was in the park. Another friend of mine is named Butterfly. We were in the park and we was rapping, just freestyling rapping. And we ran into Davey's brother, Tommy T, and Tommy heard us rap. He was like, yo, y'all guys are really good, y'all should meet my brother. So we walked from the park all the way to his house, and we met Davey D. And I actually witnessed Davey D scratch records, which I've heard it on the tapes for a couple of months, but I never actually seen it because my sister and my sister's boyfriend, they used to just mix it, but they never scratched it. But when I seen Davey actually scratch it, then I wanted to learn how to scratch. So, you know, I give mad props to Davey DMX because he was actually the first person I witnessed scratch it live. Once I met Davey, we joined forces, and Davey had a crew by the name of Solo Sound, which he had cousins that was doing solo sounds up in Yonkers, but he wanted to start his own solo sound thing in Queens. So we formed Solo Sounds in Hollis, so we started doing a bunch of block parties. We started playing in a bunch of parks, and then we started getting very well known. Davey was scratching, I was rapping, Cool T was rapping, we had a couple other rappers, Butterfly, Tommy T was beatboxing. So we started getting very well known in Hollis, then it started spreading out throughout Queens. And then, you know, next thing you know, we started doing shows in clubs with Grandmaster Flash and Furious Five, and other guys from the Bronx was also coming in, and we were also playing with them also. Well, the funny thing is that when Solo Sounds was in existence, Russell Simmons started to do a bunch of club parties, promoting club parties, and his brother's Run DMC, he was a solo act. And when Solo Sounds used to play in the park, Run used to always come over and ask us, can he get on the mic? And we used to be, sometimes we let him, sometimes we wouldn't. You know, we was them kind of guys back then. But then we let him rock a couple of times. Then Curtis Blow heard about Solo Sounds, and he needed a DJ. So Curtis Blow hired Davey D to start DJing for him. And at the same time, Russell was promoting Run as Curtis Blow's son on all the flyers, just to get his name out there. So once all that started happening, once Davey went with Curtis, Solo Sounds kind of broke up because Dave went with him. But we were still making records, but we just wasn't releasing the records. But then my good friend Jam Master Jay, who I went to school with back in the days, he got the call from Run for him to be their DJ, the DJ for Run DMC. At first Run wanted to use Davey D, but Davey D was with Curtis Blow. That's why when you hear Sucking Seeds, it says Dave cut the record down to the bone. So Jay got that shot, and Jay took advantage of it, and Jay did what he had to do. I was really happy for him because I remember him telling me that he was doing it. And he said, yo, if you go on tour or whatever, I'll make sure you come with me. I was like, okay, cool. My first set of turntables, actually, I took my turntables that my sister had in the house. Those were my first set of turntables. But I couldn't make them spin back the way I wanted them to. So I had to get up enough money to go buy me some Technics. So after hustling on the street, selling whatever I had to sell to get my money up, I wound up buying my first set of turntables and my first mixer. And then I used to go by Dave's house and watch him scratch a little bit, and then I just taught myself how to scratch. I already knew how to mix from watching my sister mix records together. But then once I learned how to scratch, I had the whole element. And I had already knew how to rap too, because I've taught myself how to rap through the old cassette tapes. Only thing I didn't know how to do was breakdance. I'd also know how to do some graffiti. I wasn't that good, but I was good with just tagging something real quick. My mom and my dad didn't really know. I don't think they really knew how big it was until I actually told them I was going on tour, the Raising Hell tour. Because before the Raising Hell tour, I used to just go with Jay and Run DMC to different gigs throughout New York. You know, so I never really traveled out of state with them. But once the Raising Hell tour got into play, and Jay asked me to come on the road with him, then my mom and them kind of knew, like, oh man, you really doing something now. I'm like, yeah. My dad was trying to get me to go in the military, and I was like, nah, I don't want to go in the military. It's not me. But then that happened just in time. Yeah, well, when I first got with the Beastie Boys, they was the opening act on the Raising Hell tour. And of course, I was on tour Run DMC at the time. And somewhere in the middle of the tour, they didn't have a DJ anymore to bring them out. Me and Jay used to enjoy watching them. We used to watch them come out all the time because we thought they were really funny, and they was doing really crazy stuff, throwing beers and sliding across the stage, and you never knew what they was going to do, so we made sure we checked out the show. But when they asked me to DJ, you know, the first thing I thought of was, I don't know if that's going to work because, you know, the way you guys' styles are, running on stage, throwing beers all over the place, and I was into keeping my sneakers clean. I wasn't into throwing beers. But, you know, after getting convinced through Jay and Russell and Beastie Boys' old road manager and the Beasties, you know, I said, okay, I'll do it, you know. So I got on stage. At first, I used to wear a hat, pulled all the way down with some shades on, because I was a little embarrassed to see who, you know, because I was with Run DMC at the time, and I had the big velour on with the big chain, so I didn't really know how they was going to take it. So the first couple of shows, I was a little behind the scene with my hat pulled down, but as I gradually started doing it, I started getting more into it. And I started enjoying it more and more and more as I was doing it. One of the biggest challenges I've probably been able to overcome is being greedy for money. Because a lot of people are greedy for money, and they'll stab you in your back for some money. And I'm happy to say that I've never been that kind of guy in this industry. You know, so I've been able to avoid that. I've been able to avoid lawsuits and stuff like that. Most thing I'm proud of is probably being able to reach out to people across the world, not just in the United States. Getting off the plane and somebody telling me that, yo, that record really helped me out through a hard time, and that record influenced me to do something good, or that record influenced me to do this, or influenced me to do that. So I'm really proud that my art and my hard work throughout the years was able to reach people not only in the United States, but all across the world. We got off the plane and we were in Japan, and like everybody we were speaking to, they really didn't understand English. We just had one translator. So he's like, man, they don't understand English. How they gonna understand our music? You know what I mean? But we had a bunch of fans out there. So once we got on stage and started performing, like a lot of people started saying the words. And that kind of like bugged me out because I couldn't ask nobody where the certain store was at because they didn't understand what I was saying. Like, I'll be like, hey, where can I get some beer? They didn't understand nothing. But once that music came on, they understood it. So that right there was definitely a memorable moment for the first time I've been overseas. My legacy, I just want people to remember me as a guy that put in a lot of hard work throughout his career, made good music, enjoyed myself, and left a print behind for other young guys to follow my footsteps if you know my whole story.